In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 status symbols that secretly scream financial insecurity, and most people don't even realize it. Ever wonder why people wreck their finances just to seem successful? Do wealthy people avoid the very things that people buy to try to impress others by pretending that they're rich? And could you be falling into one of these traps without even realizing it? I'm Dr. Brad Klontz, financial psychologist, professor, self-made millionaire, and best-selling author of Start Thinking Rich. And you subscribe to this channel because I always give it to you straight. And stick around to the end because the last one, it's something that you see every single day, and it could be the biggest red flag of them all. Now let's get into it. Status symbol number 1, designer clothes. If you need a logo to feel important, you're the product and everybody knows it. Why would you spend $900 on a hoodie when a $30 hoodie would give you the exact same thing? Rich people don't spend money that way. That's how they become rich. It is a poor mindset that leads people to buy designer labels. Here's the truth. People who tie their self-worth to material items are more likely to overspend and feel less financially secure. And designer brands don't just sell clothes. That's not the business they're in. They sell a sense of identity. They sell self-validation and a shortcut to self-worth. But here's the trick. You're not buying that piece of clothing. You're buying the feeling of being enough. And it's the opposite of what actual self-made wealthy people do. In fact, most self-made millionaires describe themselves as frugal. Here's the psychological insight. This ties into several money scripts. The first is money status beliefs. This is where you're linking your self-worth to your net worth. People who do this tend to flex designer brands, and studies show that they tend to grow up poor. Therefore, they're feeling insecure and they want to show the world they made it. I actually fell into this trap when I was in my 20s. I got out of school. I had a doctorate degree. I started to make some money. The first thing I did, I went out and I bought a luxury watch. I bought a very beautiful gold bracelet for my mother. I had a net worth of a negative $100,000, but in my mind, I thought I had made it and I wanted to show the world I had made it. This is the money script that is associated with overspending and people being caught into this trap. Conversely, studies we have done on ultra wealthy people, they have a very different mindset when it comes to money. They actually downplay how much money they have. They're frugal. They don't engage in these outward displays of wealth, and designer labels are one of the most obvious and worst ones. Status symbol number 2, luxury cars. That $100,000 car, it might impress naive strangers, but it's crushing your future. If your car costs more than 10% of your net worth, that's not a flex, that's a financial cry for help. People with lower credit scores are more likely to want to buy luxury cars, not because they can afford it, but because they're compensating for lower self-esteem with these high-end appearances. And it's a deadly trap and it's terrible for your financial health. Do you know who drives Toyotas and Honda Accords? Millionaires. Research from The Millionaire Next Door, one of my favorite books, shows that self-made millionaires, they buy used cars, they live in modest homes, and they never, ever lease luxury vehicles. Here's the psychological insight. This comes from identity expression. You want to project the idea that you are successful, that this is your identity. Here's the problem. That image comes with debt, and it's an obvious sign to people who are self-made millionaires that you're probably struggling financially. But let's be honest, what kind of car do you drive? Drop it in the comments. We won't judge. Status symbol number 3, expensive watches. If your watch is worth more than your emergency fund, you're not rich. You're reckless. You'd like to think that your luxury watch tells time, but it tells a very different story to the rest of the world. It says, please validate me. Some of these luxury watches can cost tens of thousands of dollars. And I know I'll hear it in the comments, but Dr. Brad, it's an investment. And sure, some of these can appreciate over time, but it's a bit of a gamble on which ones that will, and most don't. So for most people, these aren't investments, they're symbols of overcompensation. Here's the psychological insight. This really does come from a sense of trying to self-enhance. We want to use luxury goods to feel a sense of superiority or to show the world that we're successful. Here's the punchline. Most self-made millionaires, they're not spending a bunch of money on a bunch of expensive watches. They're just not doing it. In fact, most self-made millionaires describe themselves as frugal. They'd be very anxious to spend their money in that way. So here's my question to you. Would you drop 5 figures on a watch? Let me know in the comments. Status symbol number 4, flashy vacations. If pictures from your vacation have hit Instagram before you've paid the credit card bill, you've got a problem. All-inclusive resorts, business class flights, Bora Bora bungalows. Some people use travel to explore, others use it to escape life, but some people use it to flex online. The American Psychological Association does a Stress in America survey each year, and year after year, money is one of the top sources of stress in 3 out of 4 Americans. And Americans admit they go into debt around their vacations. As a matter of fact, 4 out of 10 people admit to doing this. And I get it. Many people are feeling powerless. They're feeling like they're not where they want to be. And so to compensate, they want to fund in a luxury vacation for themselves and for their family. But understand this isn't the psychology of wealth. This isn't what people who are climbing the socioeconomic ladder, it's just not what they do. It's a big lie. So the next time you see on social media pictures of somebody's luxurious vacation, I want you to think not, oh no, I'm missing out. I'm broke. I'm poor. The first thought I'd like you to have is, I wonder if that person can really afford it. And I wonder if they're feeling a tremendous amount of stress and regret now that the credit card hits, because that's probably what's happening. Status symbol number 5, giant houses. That 5-bedroom house with no furniture, that's not wealth. That's a financial coffin. The average American house right now is twice as big as houses were in the 1950s. But do you know what hasn't been doubling during that time? People's net worth. Have you heard the concept of being house poor? This is where people have expensive houses, granite countertops, but they have no savings. They're broke. They're struggling to pay the bill month to month. And studies show that financial satisfaction tends to drop when you're in neighborhoods where everyone's spending their last dime to try to look like they're successful. But if your life is looking rich without you having the sense of financial satisfaction, the lack of worry day to day in terms of paying your bills, there's nothing good coming out of that. So I have to ask you, what would a rich life actually look like for you? What would it look like if you weren't trying to impress other people? What would it look like if wealth to you meant you were owning your time, not one of these 5 status symbols that you're buying to try to impress a world who really doesn't care? And I want you to understand this, the psychology of wealth, the psychology of rich people. They're just not focused on material items. They're looking at wealth as owning their time. And that's how I'd like you to see it. So, status symbols, they're not necessarily good or bad. We're all human beings. We're all wired to think that way. But needing them and sacrificing your financial health to try to impress other people, it's absolutely not worth it. And that's not a rich mindset. Of course, you can enjoy nice things, but your self worth should not depend on them. And something that I've found to be true in my life, the wealthier I've gotten over time, the less I've been interested in these trinkets and these outward displays of wealth. I don't have anything to prove. When I was younger and broke, subconsciously, I realized I was actually trying to prove my worth to the world. But the fact is that the richest people I know don't need to show it. And all the studies I've conducted on thousands and thousands of ultra wealthy individuals, they feel the same way. You need to find something that's much better than the approval of other people. Ideally, you want to feel like you have enough. Even right now, as you're aspiring to grow your net worth, look at your blessings all around you. Feel that sense of abundance. And that's really a luxury that most people never have for themselves. I'm Dr. Brad, and I'll see you next time.